introduction. So my name, and I'm a global opportunities consultant based in New Zealand. So I work out of the Auckland office. I am a primary trained teacher, and I trained here in New Zealand and taught here for 3 years. And I'd always wanted to go overseas. So it took me 3 years to try and save up enough money. I'm a really bad saver. So I managed to get my ticket and went over and worked in London. I went on a youth mobility visa. We'll sort of cover visas coming up. But yeah, entered the country on a 2-year visa, and I taught all over London really. For that 2 years, I started out doing supply teaching, and then I went into long-term work, and I ended up eventually working in special needs, which was amazing. And yeah, again, we'll touch on that later. It's something that all of you can also have a go at while you're over there. After the 2 years, when I came back to New Zealand, I had the opportunity to start supporting Kiwi educators going on their travels, and I've really been doing that ever since. So stoked to be working for ANZUK. They're a great company with really strong values, and I support New Zealand-based educators heading over to the UK, and I also support them going to Australia as well. So I'm part of the global team, and we've got Tyler as well in the Melbourne office, and some of you on the call now probably know Tyler or have had a chat to him. So yeah, so we're part of that team. Clint, I'll pass on to you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Clint Butler. I'm the Regional Manager for ANZ UK in Wales. I've been working in recruitment for 24 years this year. Education recruitment for the last 16. And I was approached by ANZ UK back in 2019 to open a regional office in Wales, in the UK. Since 2019, we've been supporting schools right across Wales in regional settings, in a lot of the local cities, Cardiff, Swansea, along the south coast there. And yeah, it's just been phenomenal to work a bit differently, supporting educators from many different parts of the globe, and not just locally, to come into our schools in Wales and to see the difference that the educators make from different cultures coming into the schools in Wales. And yeah, it's been a phenomenal journey. We opened just before the pandemic, which was a bit of a shock to us, but you know, we managed to create some outstanding relationships with the schools. All our educators were supported by the schools throughout the pandemic that were in long-term roles there. And the last year, since the schools opened back up, we've just gone from strength to strength. So we're really looking forward now to inviting more people in from different parts of the globe to support our schools in Wales.
Great, thanks, Clint. And it's great for us to have the opportunity to go not just to London as well, and we'll talk to you about the locations that we cover, but often people sort of just think of heading to the UK as teaching in London, but it's much more than that. So it's really great to have Clint on with us, and we're also really lucky that we've got Henry from the London office on board. Henry?
Hi there, guys. Obviously, yeah, thanks, Claire. My name's Henry. So I moved over to London back in 2019. Moved over with looking for the opportunity to kind of work in schools in London. Education was something I had never worked in previously in Australia, but I've always through coaching and just working with children through that wanted to get into education and have a go at that. And the beauty of working in London, you can have an opportunity as a teaching assistant. So when I got over, I joined ANZ UK and found myself working within a special needs school for about 2 years. Worked all through the pandemic, so you know, thankfully ANZ UK could support me. I was one of those people in those long-term roles that could continue working through the pandemic, which was a really great opportunity. And now I have moved into the office as a education recruitment consultant. I've been here for a year in the office, so it's been fantastic. And you know, again, ANZ UK providing a new opportunity, a new way for me to continue moving forward. So yeah, it's now been 3 years and absolutely loving it, and especially loving how everything's opened up and being able to travel around again.
And I think it's something that you'll find as you go along your journey with us and start having connections and contact from our UK team. Most of the UK team are educators or have gone through the journey themselves. And so everyone knows what you're feeling, what you're going through. Everyone's sort of there to support you. Henry's blazed the trail only a year before you have, so he's got great advice and support, and that really makes a difference. So yeah, it's great. So we've introduced ourselves, hoping that you could also introduce yourselves in terms of just letting us know where you're from, what city you're based in. If you could pop into the chat and just put down, just your closest city, so we can sort of see who we've got on the call. Sunny Brisbane.
Got a Brisbane person. That's where I'm from.
Oh, awesome. Lots of Tyler's teachers. Most of you, some of you might have already spoken to Tyler, so lots of Melburnians. Gosh. Any Kiwis? Oh, yay, Rachel. Oh, Rachel. Oh, that's nice. You made it. Spoke to you this week. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, we've got a nice broad coverage. At least we've got some Kiwi. Okay, just to sort of show you quickly what we're covering tonight. So we're going to sort of go over pretty much everything that you need to know. I'm just going to try and stop clicking on this. Sorry, everyone. What have I done here? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, so we'll touch on the whole lot, but some of the things we will skim over just to make sure that we're within our right time frame. If we skim over something a little too quickly and you wanted to go into further info, as I said, we're on the end for questions, but we can also catch up individually with you over the coming days as well and arrange time for a call. We do other regular webinars as well. Henry ran a webinar the other day on what it's like as a supply teacher in London. So we also drill down into more specifics as well. We've had ones on teaching in Wales and teaching in Southwest England as well. So lots of great resources on our website as well. Another quick question for everyone, if you could pop into the chat. Has anyone been to the UK before, or are you sort of a bit of a first timer, trailblazer, first time you're going overseas and you've decided to go on the biggest trip that you can? Okay, great. I guess it's not as daunting if you've been over there before, but it's nice for you also to see that there are a lot of people who are going over for the first time. Great. Cool. Oh, it's exciting. It's one of the best things that you'll ever do in your life. So, it's really exciting to be part of that journey and supporting you on that. In terms of who we are, ANZ UK is a global company. We've got 29 offices around the world. In Australia, since most of you are sort of based in Australia, we've actually got 9 offices spread across Australia, and we've got over 160 consultants on the ground there in Australia. And in New Zealand, we've also got 2 offices through EP Education. So it's just something to be aware of, because some of you, before you even started your journey, you might resign and be ready to head over to the UK, but you're not leaving until April or a few months into the academic year. We can support you with local work within, Australia, New Zealand, and keep you busy with some CRT before you head off. We've got offices right across Australia through our sister company called Scoot. Australia, America. So we've got really good coverage in America. You really do need to have an American passport at the moment to be able to work there. If you've got one of those, we'd love to help you out. And then in England and Wales, we're going to go into a little bit more detail on that, of where we cover and what your options are there. So, you know, we're here for you through your whole career. So supporting you before you go, while you're there, and again, when you come home, we can be helping you in finding your next role on your return. So we've been around for 16 years. We started out in a garage in Melbourne somewhere, and yeah, I think I mentioned it before, but it's the values of the company. We're all about community and team, and it really filters right down through to the educators that we support as well. Okay, just get on to flicking through. Oops, I see what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing it over here. Just before we start on your one, Henry, can you, one more thing in the chat, if you wouldn't mind just putting in, and if you've got an idea of when you're looking at heading over. I know a couple of you, I have seen your names and chatted to you before, looking at early next year, but some of you, sometimes it's a process where you're sort of getting plans and it's not till 2024. Again, it's nice for you guys to sort of see, okay, there's quite a bunch of us going in September or. Great.
Lovely. All right. Update on the life in the UK. Well, it's back. Yeah. After a bit of the bit of a hard slog through the pandemic. In saying that, I still got myself away to many different countries. I was quite lucky and quite blessed with that. But yeah, it's well and truly back. It's very, very busy. It's bustling. I felt like most of this summer has felt like a bit of a hostel at my place. I've had a lot of friends and family coming over from Australia and New Zealand as well, visiting. So that's been fantastic. And then everyone, you might see, if you are coming over soon or anything, throughout the summer holidays, the office might be a little bit quieter, because a lot of us use that time to kind of get out, and it's quite amazing the amount of travel that we can do through over the summer holidays, or even just a quick weekend trip. In terms of work, yeah, it's been crazy, the demand. Obviously pre-pandemic, we had a lot of Australian and New Zealand teachers and teaching assistants over working within the schools. That obviously went, and then now the schools are constantly calling and saying, oh, everything's opened up, when are they coming back? We really need those teachers over here. You guys provide such a high standard within the schools, so they're really looking forward to get as many of you back working within those schools. In terms of what it's been like throughout this summer, I mean, I felt like I've been back home in Brisbane. We were just discussing before with Clint. I mean, we've had weeks of where it's been highs of 32. So right. It's been quite intense, but it's been amazing. So yeah, love to share that with you guys when you get over here.
Great, thanks, Henry. And that's this picture in the middle is that's one of our consultants, a friend of Henry's, Meg. She was going to be joining us on the webinar, but she's right at this moment is on a train on the way to Paris, isn't she, Henry?
Yeah. She quickly just said, "Oh, you know what? I want to go to Paris. Can you just take this webinar?" But yeah, that's gonna be fun. And if you look over the next photo, just next to that, that's a couple of other ANZ UK staff members at one of our summer parties that we often throw. That was the most recent one we did. It was just a rooftop bar quite close to the office, and it was fantastic. Had a big turnout actually. It was a lot of fun. So we do I'm very much recommend you guys getting involved in that.
Oh, thanks, Henry. Clint, you.
So why should you come over to the UK? I think, well, the most obvious one is personal growth, isn't it? It's just getting out of your comfort zone, throwing yourself in a completely new culture, and being able to do that with the support and a community behind you just makes it all the more easier and more enjoyable as well. And that's something at ANZ UK we're really proud of, is the community that we create for the educators that come over on this journey with us. You know, it will be one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make, and it really does. It helps you grow as a person. I mean, the opportunities that you get. I mean, we had a couple of Canadians come over during the pandemic over to the UK, to Wales, and we just love watching those guys' Instagram pages now. They're in Paris one week, they're in Milan the next, they think nothing of just, you know, we can jump on a plane and be in southern Spain in hour and a half. You can be in Paris in 45 minutes, Amsterdam in 45 minutes. You know, it really is the gateway to Europe. Whether you're based in Bristol, Wales, London, the opportunities are there for you to travel. And what better way, you know, to grow as a person and to get out into the world and to get amongst other people. For career development as well, it's just fantastic. I mean, looking at a local level, you know, head teachers looking at CVs, if teachers have taught in other cultures and other parts of the world, it's really attractive to them. And the stories we hear from our Australia team of the educators that go back to Australia or New Zealand, they get the same feedback as well. If they see that an educator has been brave and made that journey, thrown themselves into a different culture, how that can really impact the classroom when they come back home. Because what better way to teach children about different cultures than someone who've actually lived and breathed those cultures? You can't get that from a textbook. You need to really immerse yourself into it. And, you know, these adventures are great because you will have the security of a salary coming in. You'll have the support of the ANZ UK team in regards to finding accommodation, finding somewhere to live, but also that community piece as well. The social events that we run, the affiliations that we've got with sports team and clubs and things like that, that really help you immerse into the local environment. Yeah, as I say, the opportunity as well that you've got in ANZ UK is you don't have to stay in one place in the UK. We've got educators who've come to Wales for a year and then gone to London, and those who've gone from London and then gone to Bristol or to Wales. You know, the opportunities are there to try different parts of the UK as well. And as I say, there's airports right throughout the UK. You've got your main airports in London, your Gatwick, your Heathrow's, then you've got Cardiff, Bristol airports. So wherever you are in the UK, there's access to Europe quite easily. So yeah, the opportunities are endless.
Well, thanks, Clint. And I think it's something that you can do by yourself as well. A lot of our educators do end up traveling alone because of the timing, and that's when it suits you to go. So it's something that you can do alone, and because a lot of other people travel solo as well, everyone's wanting to connect. You know, you make a whole new network of friends. And yeah, I think that's a really great thing as well. And as Clint said, just that stepping out of your comfort zone is everything, really. That's what makes it such an incredible experience. On top of the, you know, the multicultural aspect that you will encounter over there, and just seeing all walks of life. So yeah, it's pretty special.
Yeah, so I thought I'd give you a bit of an overview on the steps of how this all happens, how you get started. And I'm sure many of you have already had initial contact with your local team, whether that's Tyler or Claire or the guys over down under. And then those guys will find out where you're looking to go, which consultant that would be in the best place to support you, and they'll let us know then in the UK. We'll then arrange contact from the UK and just make an initial call, normally by a video call, so we really, you know, get a face to the name, get to know you, get to really understand what you want out your adventure, where you want to go. That consultant might decide then, and between you might decide that, you know, the office that you're talking to isn't the right one. So then we'll point you to the right office and really get that adventure underway and start looking at the right opportunities for you. Just sort of go through any burning questions that you might have. We'll then set up a regular regular contact before you come over. So you've got certain times that you're going to be in contact with the UK via a video call. We're always available by email as well. So if you come off any call and you think, oh, as I do quite regularly, as I'm getting older as well, is forget when I'm talking on a call. We'll always answer any questions straight away. So just fire any emails to us. No question is ever a stupid question, especially with an adventure as big as this. We want you to feel as comfortable and that we've answered all your questions as much as possible. We'll then put you in touch with our compliance team in the UK, because similar to Australia and New Zealand, we need to ensure that anybody that we're putting in the classrooms in the UK is safe to work with children. So we do all the background checks. We'll ensure that all that is done prior to you landing in the UK. So as soon as you land and you're ready to work, we'll be able to offer you something straight away. Once that compliance processing started, and as you get closer to arriving, we'll arrange a registration with you, which is normally done via a video call. And that'll be the final part. It'll just be some competency-based questions, really trying to find out more about you as an educator and how we can best support you. Once that registration's done, then when you land in the UK, you'll be ready and cleared to work. And again, we'll invite you into the office to meet the team, to get to know you a bit better. Hopefully there will be an educator event as well, very local, very near the time that you arrive. And it's great, as we say, to get you around like-minded individuals who've just made that journey, create that community for you. And then we'll start off you some opportunities in the classroom. And, you know, we don't just leave people once they've done that either. You know, we're regularly in contact with our educators, daily, weekly, however much contact they want to ensure you've got all the support you need when you're going into the classroom. We've also got a learning management system, which many of you might have seen already, with resources for working in the classroom, certain online courses as well, and they'll be available to you free of charge, and you'll be able to access those at your leisure. You could log on and do 10 minutes, you could do an hour. It's all completely there for you to ensure you're best set up to get in the classroom in the UK.
Thanks, Clint. And some of you, I know you've already been at this stage of initial contact, but if you haven't spoken to us and you're sort of wanting to start the ball rolling, we'll be sending an email out after this with a link, and you can book in a call with either myself or Tyler, and sort of to moving into the contact from the UK. That process will start anywhere within 12 months of your arrival. So that's really great.
Just to touch on what Clint was just saying about, you know, building that relationship, you know, just this, I guess I could share a story. You know, I've got a couple that are coming over from Melbourne. I'm really excited for them to get here. You know, we've been constantly talking for months. And they're coming over. They're landing today, I believe, and they're coming in the office tomorrow. And we're going to a festival this weekend. So I mean, you build such a relationship with with your consultant as well, and you know, sometimes it does, you know, blossom into a friendship, which is also really lovely. So you know, just an example of some of the things that, you know, we do at ANZUK.
Yeah, and it's funny you should say that, Henry, because actually Meg, the consultant that we saw in the photos in the previous slide, she posted on a blog and put some of her Europe photos in there, and one of my Kiwi educators was on the trip, on the holiday with her. So yeah, they obviously met at one of the welcome events, and yeah, you know, became mates. So yeah. And it's nice, and that's right. And if you're 12 months out from arriving and you're having that regular contact, you know, it's a great, you know, you do build a good relationship with these things. Okay, Clint, this is one for you.
Yeah, so we'll go into the regional and the different offices we've got across the UK in a bit more detail now. So we only offer casual relief teaching or daily supply teaching local to our offices. And the reason for that, to be able to successfully service a school with their needs, we need to be local to them, so we can regularly visit the school. We really understand the ethos of the schools that we work with, because we're regularly out meeting with them. We can also assist our educators then on their first day going to a school, so we can inform you where you can park if you're driving, or how you can travel to that school, what you do when you get there, so we can really advise you, because doing casual relief teaching or daily supply teaching every day is different, and you could go into 5 different schools in a week. So our consultants need to be really knowledgeable about the schools that we're servicing. So we only offer casual relief teaching across London. We also do Surrey, Wales, in the southeast of Wales, Bristol. That's the main locations for casual relief teaching. We can offer permanent roles for the rest of the UK, or as far as Newcastle. We don't go into Scotland, but across England and Wales, we can offer permanent contracts in schools outside of those locations. So I think we'll go into a bit more depth now about each area. So I think it's over to Henry to talk about London and Surrey.
Yeah, the busy London. So obviously looking to move in London. What is it like? Well, there's something on every single night. There's something to do every single day. That's probably one of the biggest things, the biggest draw cards for me, leaving sleepy Brisbane. But yeah, it's obviously you want to look at where do you want to live. I mean, we work with schools all across London, all west, east, north, south. So there's opportunities everywhere for you to work. In terms of what, if you're wondering, or what the cost price is there, we've got the general rent cost if renting a room per month in London, and then also kind of a small studio or a 1-bedroom flat. It is a quite a pricey pricey affair there, but what I would suggest, especially if you are coming over alone, I know that back home back in Oz, we offer kind of events as well, and a lot of people team up to kind of live together when they move over, and that's building that community, and that comfort there for when you're moving over. And I really suggest that. Obviously, you've got your Aussies in London, your Kiwis in London that do flat share posting. They're always your go-to kind of ones when you are looking. We also offer kind of, all of us, in the office here in London live all across London and Surrey. So, we live in these areas. We know, what area, after we get to know you a bit more, we'll find out certain areas that might suit your lifestyle. If you want more of the artsy stuff, you'd probably be up living with me in kind of the Hackney area, or even going down southeastern Peckham. If you want to do the cultural hub of Australia in London, you're around the Clapham area, or the Wandsworth area. So it's there's plenty of options there for you. And public transport is around the 150 mark for a month. You've got plenty of options there as well. What's it like living in Surrey? I haven't lived there, but one of my colleagues, Jason, he lives down there, and he absolutely loves it. The green spaces, you get a bit more bang for your buck as well, and it's really not far from London. You can get into London really quickly. So there's trains constantly going into central London, so it's really nice and easy. I think he can get from where he is, he gets into the office with quicker than I do on my journey. So there's plenty of options there.
Right, and we've got area guides as well, so we go into real detail with the area guides, which we send out and support you. And around accommodation, we'll sort of touch on that further as well. Sort of, it's a bit of a daunting, scary thing for people, but we support you a lot around that too. And then regional options. Oops.
Yep. So the regional options.
Oh yeah, I was going to go Clint. Yeah, he's the Wales man. So
yeah.
So yeah, our office is in Newport, South Wales, which is just to the east of Cardiff. Literally a 20-minute train journey from Cardiff. So Cardiff being the capital city of Wales, that's where the majority of overseas educators tend to go. So even though Cardiff is a fairly small city, there's still a lot going on there. Very low cost of living. You're talking, it's a bit more expensive than that now since the pandemic. It's probably about 350 to 400 for a room in Cardiff or Newport. But you get a 1 or 2 bedroom flat from about £700 a month in Cardiff. Transport costs are a bit lower than London's. We're about £40–50 for a monthly pass. However, we do recommend that if you want to see a bit more of Wales, then that you hire a car or even buy a car if you're going to be here for a long time. Similarly with Bristol, slightly lower cost of living to London, £500, a little over £500 a month for a room, £1,000 plus a month for a 1 bedroom flat in Bristol, and slightly more expensive for a public transport pass as well. But what you've got in the regions is you've got that lower cost of living. The pay rates for Wales, the daily supply pay rates in Wales are the same as London. We've got that lower cost of living. We can be in London from the Newport office in 1 hour and 45 minutes on a train, into the Bristol office in half an hour. So as I say, even though you're not based in London, you could still visit there quite regularly. So the beauty of our offices, our spread of offices across ANZ UK, is exactly that. You can get the experiences wherever you decide to locate. You could be, if you're living in London, you could come up and visit Wales within 2 hours. And another thing that a lot of the overseas educators have talked about living in Wales is the fact you're only ever within 1 hour of a beach from Wales, which is something I didn't realize, and I've lived here all my life. But yeah, as I said, just really good advice for anyone come over is just to check out our Instagram pages and our socials. A lot of our overseas educators will share their journey on our Instagram page, and they look at Wales through a completely different set of eyes than I do. I mean, my weekends are spent mowing the lawn and doing menial tasks where they're out looking at castles or visiting beaches or going to festivals. So it's really highly recommend that you follow our social media to really get an insight into what life could be like living in the UK.
Oh, thanks. And I think the other great thing with the Wales and Bristol is they've got international airports there. So instead of, if you're traveling out of London, you're paying £20 to get to an airport, and it might take you 1 hour to get to the airport, and it's a bit of a slog and there's big queues. If you're flying out of Bristol, you can turn up to the airport 1.5 hours before your flight, you checked in 15 minutes, and it's that nice regional airport experience. And great cheap flights.
Well, they're very cheap.
Talking to a couple of guys who've just gone away in the June half term, and I think they went to Italy with EasyJet from Bristol Airport, which is literally half hour from Newport, and I think it was £35 return the flights to Italy.
Amazing. Phenomenally
cheap, these local flights now across Europe.
Yeah, I was just looking this morning, and just looking at from London, and I was like, oh look, I'll have a quick look at what it's looking from Bristol, just and so much cheaper. It's kind of rethinking on where I'm living now, because no, but no, definitely a good shout to be living out of that way. And yeah, those two cities, they might, obviously they're not as big as London, but they definitely offer just as much entertainment. Yeah, it's a great shout.
And when you think, you're earning the same amount that you are in London, but you're paying, significantly less. So yeah, you can be, good options. Types of work. Actually, Clint, just before you kick off on this one, I'm just going to do one more chat box thing. Can people pop in what kind of teacher you are? Because we might not have any early teachers online this evening, so we'll just skim over that. If you're early childhood, primary or secondary, or we might have some TAs on the call. Oh, we do have early childhood. Okay, cool. Secondary and primary. Are there any TAs at all? Doesn't look like it. Okay.
So we've got good spread.
Yep.
So we support people in many ways in all educational settings. I mean, we've had a few educators come over recently whose partners have decided to do some work in a school as a TA. They've had some background as a sports coach, or perhaps working with children in other settings, so they managed to have transferable skills to be able to go into the classroom. So we've even been able to support teachers partners who've come over, and even outside of that, we got a Canadian actually coming into the office today, and his partner, she works in hospitality. She's looking for a bar job. So we've got a few friends with restaurants and bars, so we've set her up with a bar job as well. So yeah, never be afraid to ask if you're coming over to someone if we can support them as well. So we'll always do what we can to make sure you're as best set up as we can be. Yeah, when it comes to casual relief teaching or supply teaching in the UK, we support everything from private daycare nurseries, from newborns, all the way up to further education and everything in between. So your early years piece, we support foundation phase and key stage 2 in primary in the UK, and then right the way through secondary. I would say primary and secondary schools and early years, that's where our core is. We do a little bit of further education, not as much as we'd like. But the main bones of our business is across the main schooling age with early childhood as well. So yeah, and we can support anything within school. I've filled everything from cleaners in school, nursery assistants, caretakers, office staff, anything within an education establishment we can support.
Great. And I think sometimes when you're looking at roles or things for the UK, you'll see this terminology KS1, KS2. All that is the level of the curriculum that they're working from. So Key Stage 1 is working with a Year 1 class or Year 2 class. And then Key Stage 2 is obviously Years 3 to 6. Secondary goes up to Year 13, and they're exam-based curriculum as well. So types of work. Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't got any TAs, but it's good to kind of.
Yeah. So again, as I say, within an education establishment, we've filled many weird and wonderful roles. I had a conference facilitator in a large school a couple of months ago. Somebody was setting up the conference room and meeting and greeting guests. But when it comes to support staff, I'd say the lion's share is all around teaching assistants and classroom support, whether that's additional learning needs, supporting children, low ability learners within a mainstream environment, children with mild additional learning needs such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, challenging behavior. And then we also work with the more specific special educational needs schools where the children have got those higher needs, whether that's physical or mental abilities or even behavioral within the PRU settings. We can also support within mainstream settings, your basic classroom support as well. So it really is, we're really diverse, the sort of support that we offer the schools, and we're really keen to speak to anybody with sports coaching backgrounds, any sort of transferable skills that can support in the classroom, because there currently is a shortage of educators in the UK, and Henry will probably back me on this, probably similar in London as well. The amount of bookings that we were having to turn away last year just because we didn't have the educators to put in. And I talked to many of my peers in other agencies who are feeling the same, and there's a shortage. So anybody coming over, you won't be short of work, whichever area you decide to come to.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I really want to drive that home. There is plenty of needs, especially for anyone that's, if you are coming over with a partner or friends that are looking to kind of get into education and just giving it a go. It's a great opportunity to kind of get you that classroom experience and get a bit of understanding of, actually, is this something I want to move into for a career? And yeah, I mean, I'm desperate for any kind of people that are really interested in looking for, special needs or working in that, that PRU setting as well. There's been a fair few occasions where I'm ready to leave the office to go work with some of our PRU schools, because they are desperate for some people that can work with kids that maybe have a bit of a difficult background or behavior, and they just need that, a mentor or support. So that's where we do find the sports coaches that really fit well with those kind of schools as well. So yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Oh, this goes straight into me, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, types of
cracking on.
schools. So yeah, I was just talking about, pupil referral units. So yeah, there a lot of those schools are, students that may not be able to work in a mainstream environment anymore. They might need that one-to-one support or that small class setting to kind of help them, get them the help that they need. You're dealing with SEMH, you are dealing with some special needs or any behavioural needs there, and we also obviously special needs education. So I worked myself. It was a great opportunity for me to come over and work within an SEN environment. It's I can't stress enough to get out there and give that a go when you are over here in the UK. It absolutely changed my life and my outlook on a lot of things. Other obviously type of schools, Clint's kind of run through a fair few of those as well, but we work with academies, so schools that work with the multiple across London, and I can't speak for Wales, but I'm sure you guys have got a fair few academies over there, Clint.
No, we don't have any academies in Wales.
Sorry. It's an English.
Don't ask me about the Wales. But yeah, so yeah, I work with plenty of nurseries as well, and infant schools. It's just it's a big broad opportunities for you to work with with ANZ UK with a whole range of different schools.
And I think career-wise, that is one of the great things, is the opportunity to try some different environments that you haven't worked in. And particularly if you are going there to be doing supply teaching, say yes to whatever comes up. And that's when it's really good time to try a day in a special needs school and see what you think. You'll get exposure to all of these kinds of schools and get a real feel for it. So yeah, professional development is great for that. So.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of we're moving on to the next slide for the day-to-day or kind of block cover. That will give you that opportunity to get that experience when if you aren't looking for something right away when you land. We have that day-to-day. We have the ambassador program that you can join with to kind of get some guaranteed work as well. But yeah, the day-to-day, it's the flexibilities there. It's the beautiful thing as well if you're wanting to travel. I would suggest the day-to-day stuff. So, you can work a Monday to Thursday and then take that long weekend to kind of travel. And that's the beauty of that. You will be able to, build relationships with multiple schools, going all across London and trying out new schools. You will find that, a lot of schools maybe in West London might be more of your an environment that you enjoy teaching in, and that will lead to opportunities, for permanent opportunities for you later down the line. And then obviously we have the block cover where we might have a block of work, for a whole term just in a specific subject. So it's again a great opportunity to kind of see schools across London and see London. What we touched on before, Bristol, around the day-to-day mark is around that 120 for teachers, and then London and Wales around the 140 pounds a day. Teaching assistants, vary from, I think that we want to update that. I think there it's 77 pounds to about 90 pounds now. So and again that varies as well depending on what work you're doing. If you're doing a kind of a general teaching assistant role in a classroom, you'd be more looking around the 77-80 pound mark. But if we're working with special needs, obviously there are extra needs and you might be helped, asked to do a bit more and support a bit more. So you'd be looking around the 85 to 90 mark, depending on experience as well. So yeah. Lovely.
And you'll notice in the brackets, we've got PAYE rate, pay as you earn, which is what we used to. It's just important. We're only going to very briefly touch on this tonight, but if you are looking at pay rates, that you are comparing a PAYE pay rate with another PAYE pay rate. We'll come up to that in a minute. We'll have to crack on a bit. Sorry.
No. So yeah, obviously we offer the long-term supply contracts. So, you know, we offer the roles where you'd be in a permanent basis with one school, but you're working through with ANZ UK. What that offers as well is, you know, you have us there to support you with any issues that you're having within the school. You know, we're going to be there. We often laugh that, you know, sometimes we aren't just consultants, we unqualified therapists as well, helping educators deal with, you know, some hard days, or just helping them throughout their life while they're in the UK. So it's the benefits of doing that long-term supply contracts is, yeah, you do have us there with you every step of the way. And you can still use us for kind of career development as well, you know, and implementing your own systems, and planning lessons and stuff. So yeah, lovely. Well, I know we're strapped for time a bit there.
Sorry, Henry. And you can get these before you go as well. So Henry and the team will be looking out for roles for you, and can secure digital interviews, sort of Skype interviews. So you can actually have a job arranged before you leave. And the other thing just to note on there as well is that you, if you're in a long-term contract, you're then paid generally according to the UK pay scale. So you'll be earning, your daily pay rate will be quite a bit more than your supply rate. And then permanent, Clint, can you cover that one?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, with our local offices, around our local offices, they're the only places that we can offer this sort of short-term and long-term supply offerings. However, we do work with a lot of schools outside of these regions across the UK that offer more permanent contracts. And again, similarly to the long-term contracts, you can secure these prior to coming over. So again, we will be showcasing a lot of these hot jobs across all our different social medias and across different sites. And I believe Claire will be sending out emails as well of vacancies from local regions.
Yes, yeah, we'll be doing that pretty much on a monthly basis from now. Yeah.
Yeah, and with these permanent contracts, you just work directly with that school. So ANZ UK will make the introduction to the school, and that will be it then. The school will then take over. The school will then set you up on their PAYE, and you'll be paid directly under school's terms and conditions. But we'd still like you to keep in touch with ANZ UK, because if you go to Manchester or another area and then you decide, do you know what, I'd like to give London a go now, get straight back in touch with us and we can set you up with a team in London to either put you on an ambassador scheme or talk about permanent contracts in different areas as well. But what we're finding a lot with educators coming over, they like to start off on the day-to-day sort of agreements and supply teaching, really get an understanding of the types of schools they work in. And we normally find by the first half term that come up, they get offered long-term contracts within certain schools, and then they decide to take them because they know where they're going every day. It just makes life that little bit easier. You can sort of plan, you know where you're going, you know how to get there every day. And yeah, so people tend to morph into those long-term contracts, I find, the longer they stay.
Yeah, and it's nice with the relationships as well with the kids. It's really, you know, that's a big part of why we all teach. So that's a big highlight from it. And the other thing with permanent is that you get paid on a monthly basis, whereas if you're doing your long-term supply contract or day-to-day, they're paid on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Just on the bonuses as well, actually I might skim over this one quite quickly, Clint, because we're sort of running out of our time, if that's all right.
Yeah, okay. Pretty much what it says on the tin there. So Henry spoke about ambassador contracts earlier, so day-to-day guaranteed pay work schemes. Anybody that agrees and signs that ambassador contract prior to arrival in the UK will receive a £250 bonus after a certain number of bookings. We ask them to sign the ambassador contract prior, because then that, with the UK tax system, that bonus will be tax-free. If you sign it after you come to the UK, then it will be subject to tax. So that's the reason we ask to have that ambassador contract signed prior to coming over. And with the contract role, if you get agreed a full-time long-term contract for 1 term or longer before you part from home, then after a certain number of bookings, which I think it changed recently, I don't know whether it's 60 bookings or 90,
I think
then
it's
you'll be
60. Yeah, it's normally
60,
around a
yeah.
term.
Yeah.
Then you'll be entitled to a £500 tax-free bonus. But again, those contracts will need to be signed prior to you leaving the UK, and that's not an ANZ UK thing. That's a UK tax implication. So yeah, as long as these agreements are in place prior to you arriving in the UK, those bonuses are available to you as well. Always good to have a little bit of help when you come over to
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely,
Goes
definitely.
a long way when you're only paying £35 for your flights, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So very quickly on this, in the UK, just to make it a little bit more confusing, you can either get, and this is your choice, you can opt to be paid through PAYE, which is what you're all used to. It's the way that we pay and earn and pay tax as we go. So that's the standard way. And the pay rates that we've talked about tonight is just going through PAYE. You can also opt, if you prefer, to set up an umbrella company. And some of you may have seen these online or heard about them. It's a way that they're trying to minimize the tax that you pay. And they used to be amazing, but the tax laws have gradually tightened up. And now working through an umbrella company, there can be some benefits to it for you. But what you'll find is umbrella company rates are normally higher. So if you're working through an umbrella company through us, then you're earning £160 a day rather than 140. So it sounds a lot better, but at the end of the day, in the hand, your take-home pay, it can be quite similar to PAYE. But it's just if you are comparing pay rates, just making sure that you're checking whether it's getting paid through an umbrella company or PAYE. I don't think I've cleared any of that up at all, but it's just something to be aware of, and we can go into more detail, with that. The UK consultants are great at explaining that one. We touched on this earlier, but yeah.
Yeah. Just again, speak to your consultants. We'll send you the London area guide, and obviously we can get you in touch if you were thinking, oh, now after speaking, hearing Clint speak and everything, the guys over the Wales and then also the Bristol office, they're very knowledgeable about the areas, and they'll definitely help. Giving you a bit more information about areas to live outside of London and around the Wales area, and the Bristol area as well. So yeah, we kind of touched on that just a bit before, but yeah, we'll move on to kind of getting around.
Main sort of key websites there, but we'll be sending out these slides and a recording as well, so you'll be able to have a bit more of a look in there.
And I'll quickly go through this. Yeah, so getting around London, obviously we've got the public transport is amazing. One of the best things about London is you can get around everywhere via public transport, be that overground, the National Rail buses, or the underground. It's technically it's brand new, and it's by itself. It's the Elizabeth line, so that's a brand newbie. It's not the underground or the overground. So that one's fantastic as well. Easy to kind of get around by foot as well, especially when you'll find when you get over here, you'll probably do a lot of walking. You'll just be wanting to just look around the streets, and then cycling. I've got a bike myself. Do I ride it? I'm still trying to get my confidence up with that. But a lot of people cycle through London, and it is probably the best way to get around. By car, that's a very added luxury. If you do have a car over here, it's great for regional. I'm sure Clint can kind of talk a bit more about that if in terms of public transport or having a car in the regional teams. But yeah, it's very much easy to get around in London.
Yeah, you definitely don't need a car in London. It's expensive parking and expensive insurance. So yeah, but I think Clint did say earlier, sometimes it is quite good to have a car in Wales. Okay, setting up. Oh, sorry, Clint.
Just 100%. Either to hire a car on the weekends, or if you can do, definitely worth buying one if you're living in Bristol or Wales.
Cool.
All right, setting up life in the UK. obviously it's important to, trying to work out how you're going to access money while you're traveling. There's definitely plenty of banks that you can use and that we'll recommend coming over here. There's a few just listed below there. I used Wise myself when I was coming over to transfer money over. Options for bank accounts when you're over here. You've got your Monzos, your Revoluts, and then obviously your UK standard banks. We can again, your consultant will run through and help you with any questions that you have there to the best of their ability. It's saying that you will need to wait until you get to the UK before you can set up a bank account. Depending on who you work with, and if you have that relationship, you can do some sneaky ways of getting that. If you have a friend over here that's living over here, you can sometimes set your bank account up before, but it can be quite difficult. But if you do ever need ways of getting that bank account over set up before, I can definitely help you with that, because that's what I did. So absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, you can find some ways around it as well if just reach out and I can explain that at any time.
See Henry for the ways. There's also a link in the slides that you'll get sent, and that will take you out to a blog, which is really good, and take you through everything. And as I said, we're all here as well. So I'm just going to skim over these ones because we're getting really short on time. We'll send you a UK SIM card before you leave the country, so you'll have a £5 credit on a prepaid card, just to get you up and running. Phone contracts are much cheaper than they are over this side. You'll really love that. And then national insurance, it's a bit sort of like your tax file number or your IRD number, that you can't do anything about until you get there. And again, it's something that will guide you through. So sort of not really much prepping or things to worry about there. It's just sort of, help you through. This is a really big part of who we are and what we do. And Clint, well, if you just want to jump in, we're getting really short for time, so we're going to have to skim over these quite quickly. Sorry.
Yeah, well, as we've already spoke about, we're really keen to get together as a community with our educators as often as possible. I know Tyler and the team, they set up events, pre-departure events across Australia and New Zealand prior to coming over, so you get to be around people who are making a similar journey and get to make friends before you come. And then we have regular events in the UK. So again, you guys can talk to people who might have been here 12 months on the journey, or newbies like yourselves coming over to really get that community. So you've just got people to be around, and it just makes life that so much easier to make that adventure.
So the Melburnians, there's quite a few of you on this call. The next educator pre-departure event is the 9th of September. So it's coming up next month in Melbourne. Just get in touch or, follow up with us and we can send out the link to book a ticket. The Britbound group, if you're not on there, make sure you join it. Just search on Facebook for Britbound Educators. It's a really good active group. And underneath that, there are class of subgroups. So if you're looking at going in January and you're not on there, there's a class of January 2023. When you arrive, we have the welcome events. So, we're sort of, get sort of 100 educators together, and the next one's on the 8th of October for all of our educators who are turning up sort of any time from now through to the end of September. They'll go on a scavenger hunt or, big activity across London, and then finish up in a pub somewhere, and, you'll meet future flatmates or future partners, or, they can be very worthwhile events to attend. I'm going to skim over this. I'm really sorry, Clint, but we're running out of time. We haven't done visas yet. Just so you're aware, there's plenty of links to get into teams. And again, it's another community thing, another great way to meet people over there. But we're skimming that one, sorry. And we'll also skim travel. We have affiliations with some of the key travel companies like Top Deck. and they're all, you get sort of percentages off your trips that you book. So it's definitely worth getting in touch with us before you book those. Term dates, this is quite busy here. It's just something to be aware of. The academic year in the UK kicks off next week. Is it next week? The week after, the first week of September, and they're on a 3-term year, so quite different to us. Each term is 13 weeks long, but one of those weeks in the middle is a week off. So they have 6 weeks, then they have a week off, and then they have another 6 weeks, and that's the term. So it's brilliant for traveling. You know, you've only got 6-week block of teaching, and then you've got 1 week in Portugal. Then you teach for another 6 weeks, and you've got 2 weeks. You know, where am I going to go with that? Yeah, so awesome for travel. The academic year finishes in July, about the 25th of July, and then they have their 6-week summer holiday break. We'll send this out to you so you can refer to it. Best times to go for long term are if you can time your arrival for the start of one of those terms. So either September, January, or April. If you're wanting to do supply on arrival, this turn up whenever you like. It doesn't matter what date it is, although it does start quietening for supply from sort of June or even sort of late May onwards, particularly for secondary teachers. You'd then need to be prepared to do some primary and perhaps some special needs work to keep yourself busy. Visas, okay, so just we've got lots of support on this one. The most common route people go on is a youth mobility scheme visa. You need to be under 31 at the time of applying, although there is a free trade agreement that has been agreed, and that's going to raise that age to 35. We just don't know when that's going to come in. So currently it's sitting on 31. It gives you 2 years to live and work in the UK, and it's a once in a lifetime visa. So once you've applied for it, that's it. You can't have another go. All up cost, you're looking at about $2,300 for that visa, and a big chunk of what you're paying is for the public healthcare system, access to their free public healthcare. So it's kind of like a compulsory travel health insurance that you're paying for to access those 2 years. And we do have a visa services team. They are specialised and will support you with your visa. That's an option for you. It's $100. You may have seen in the previous slide that Clint was talking about with the bonuses. If you sign an ambassador or get a long-term contract, you get $50 off that as well. Another visa is the ancestry visa. If you have a grandparent born in the UK, that's really pricey at the moment. You're looking at over $7,000 for that visa. So a lot of people who are eligible for ancestry are opting to go via youth mobility. Skilled worker is if you aren't eligible for this one. So if you're over 31 and you don't have any UK ancestry, we can have a look at this as an option for you. It's a lot trickier, but it's something that we can look at. Otherwise, obviously, if you've got a UK passport, an Irish passport, gold. So lucky, very lucky. Compliance, sorry, I've started talking quickly because I'm mindful of the time and we have just gone over. I'm really sorry. What we need from you before we sort of connect you with the UK is Tyler and I and the global team will be asking you for a CV, and we can support you in this. We've got a template and we can help you get that together. You need 3 referees, and they do need to be senior leadership. We can go into more detail in your case, what we need from you. You don't need a police check before you. So we need from you a CV, and then we'll connect you with the UK. Police checks is something that you will have to do, and we will prompt you and support you through that. You do need to have an English police check as well. It's a compulsory requirement to work in a school over there. But on the positive side, you don't have to pay for registration in the UK like you do over here. So your cost of getting a UK police check is about $90, and that's all you sort of need to pay to be able to be fully compliant to work in a school. This is sort of more on our side of things, what we do to make sure that we're meeting the standards for what the schools are wanting. And there's qualified teacher status is the equivalent of being fully registered in Australia or New Zealand. If you are, you're automatically eligible for it, and there is no cost for that, and we'll guide you through that as well. Okay, I'm pumping along now. Quickly on the travel requirements, just one thing we do recommend, given the climate in the last few years, that you do book flexi flights if you can, just, you know, unknown things ahead. Also things like visas, if your visa process takes a bit too long, or that kind of thing. So if you do have the option, flexi ticket takes a lot of stress off you. Travel insurance, make sure you get travel insurance at least to cover you until you're settled in the UK, and every time you leave the UK. Once you're there, because you've paid that big chunk from your visa, everything, if you're fully covered. So if you broke your leg falling down the escalator, you're fully covered. If you need an operation while you're there, or your appendix out or something, the UK public health system will look after you. These kind of things at the moment, you can just jump on a plane. It's unlikely you'll need to show any evidence of vaccinations on your way over. You step off and you're away at the moment. And I'm not sure how you're finding that, Henry and Clint, with Europe travel.
Yeah, similar. There's no restrictions really. I mean, I've heard stories that people have been asked for a sort of a vaccine passport, but very, very rarely now, less and less as time's going on.
Right.
I think it's been really, really relaxed, but it's always best to just, you know, you can just quickly, even just on a UK government website, you can look at, you know, if you're going to a certain country, you just do a quick little look and just to have a little read through. It's always worth just seeing what their requirements are, but it takes a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Okay, great. We've got lots of great testimonials on the website as well. It's just nice sort of seeing other people who've done the journey and it's all worked out well for them. So, but I'm going to move on from that one. So just to sort of wind up, ANZ UK, I think one of the great things is our global offices. We've got offices for you. You know, I'm here in New Zealand. We've got Tyler and the global team based in Australia. So you've got people to talk to from this side, and then that early connection with our great UK team as well. So you've got that, you know, communication well covered. The community support through the events and the Facebook group. Clint's mentioned the learning management system. So that's our free online PD that you'll be provided with as well. And our blog is amazing. You can go on there and just type in anything, you know, like where to live or, you know, classroom management or whatever you want, and there'll be something on it. So it's a ginormous wealth of resource there. So we've really wrapped that up. Okay, so I think we've still got most people on. Questions, please feel free to fire through questions now. You can either turn your camera on and ask them, or pop them in the chat, and we are here to help. If you do need to go, I'm sorry for keeping you a little bit over. Thanks for joining us, and as I said, we will follow up with an email with the recording and the slide pack and a link so that you can book in a call as next step if we haven't spoken to you yet. Okay, questions, anybody? Feel free to put cameras on if you want, or okay, we've got some coming in. If you're eligible for a British passport, that is all you need. You are extremely lucky. Yeah, the cost wise and just for stress like that, you can just walk in, you're sorted. You don't have to worry about anything.
Very much recommend doing that. Definitely do that.
Yeah, extremely lucky.
I'm just wondering, I'm a music teacher, like instrumental. So I'm just wondering how much work there is, like whether I'd be better to go general or specialised?
Obviously you'll get more work if you're happy to do general cover within schools, but we do get vacancies for specific music teacher quite regularly across all offices. But
Okay.
I think coming in to do daily supply teaching, I'd recommend to be open to do some general to begin with. And then as you get to know the schools, you'll get to see the vacancies, and schools will even approach possibly you directly about vacancies they've got. So they'll say, look, we'll get in touch with ANZ UK, but we've got this music post coming up. So yeah, definitely be open to general cover when you come over, just to get a real feel for different schools. But yeah, absolutely, there will be specific roles as well.
So there's not a requirement to have taught in a classroom then, if I've only done instrumental teaching, or I better get myself some classroom before I come?
Ideally, get some classroom experience before you come over. However, if people have got a background working with children, then we can offer cover supervisor work, instructor work within schools as well to cover daily supply roles.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
I'll just address this one. Marnie's asked how long before travelling should you get your visa. There are restrictions on that. So if it's a youth mobility visa, you can apply within a 6-month window of arriving. For the ancestry, I think it might only be 3 months at the moment. So they open up the window, so there are restrictions on that. If you're over 31, you will need school sponsorship. If you're under 35, it might be, to be honest, easier to wait for the free trade agreement to take place. That should happen before the end of next year. So I'm not sure whether you fall under the under 35 category, but it just gives you a lot more flexibility.
That is also saying, though, we do have people, schools, not all schools, but we definitely do have schools that we do work with that, if you're open to kind of do, and, obviously you'd have to do an interview virtually and everything like that. But we do have schools that do offer sponsorship routes as well. Yeah. But
Yeah,
over 35s. Yeah.
How common are they, or how common are the open sponsorships, or how available are they? I'm lost for words at the moment.
You go, Claire.
I'm definitely over 35, so I would need to go worker visa.
Yeah.
So that I need a school sponsorship.
Yeah, so for a school to sponsor, they need to show that they haven't been able to get a teacher in country, which is fine. And there's a process for them to go through, and there's a cost involved. So normally they'll look for all other opportunities, and then to secure it, it's you need to have a really good CV and have good experience, and often be in the right subject areas as well. So secondary STEM subjects. Have you had primary school?
No, my forte is secondary 7 to, or the equivalent of 7 to 12. English, humanities, any area in humanities, just about.
Okay, great. So secondary English, Henry, would you? That would be what would be
definitely. I'd love to ask Hugh with that as well. Would you find for more as well with the regions, Hugh, that opportunities come? This is for me to know as well. Do you find that, like, sorry, Hugh, sorry, I just called Clint Hugh.
Yeah.
he's never going to let me live it down. Sorry, Clint.
Sarah the Wales.
In terms of opportunities in more the outer regions, do you find that they look to, because, it being a bit further out, do they, are they more open to sponsorship as well, or?
Yeah,
That was
pretty
be my
much.
next question. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the the regions further out with less agencies and educators around, then yeah, absolutely, they are more open to sponsorship opportunities, especially around the core subjects.
So do I need to make contact with different officers in the regional areas?
No, you wouldn't need to do that. We've got a PERMS consultant in the UK that would actually look into that for you, and they would talk then to the schools. We also work close. We're affiliated with Pixel, which is a group of head teachers across the UK.
Right.
That work on school improvement, and we go across to a lot of their events and we showcase educators that are looking to regional opportunities. So we do a lot of the legwork for you.
Okay, because I'm currently being contacted by different people from different regions. For example, a Zoom meeting with one of your colleagues from Surrey on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, he's reached out to me knowing that I'm interested in doing this.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely fine to talk to the local offices as well, because the local offices will have more in-depth knowledge of the schools local to them, of what opportunities are coming up. But for the regions, for the locations away from these local offices, we've got a PERMS consultant who will be able to look at all those different options for you. But highly recommend speak to your consultant in Surrey on that Zoom call, and they then will be able to guide you and pass all the relevant information you discuss onto the PERMS consultant, and they can pick it up from there. So it's definitely worth jumping on that call with Surrey.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
I was just wondering if I can ask again, if nobody else has got questions. We're looking at moving to, my husband's going to be in Birmingham. Is that what you class as regional, or?
Yeah, that would be one of our regional offices. We don't cover daily supply around Birmingham just because we're not local enough to the schools around that area.
Yeah.
So there would be more permanent opportunities that we would be looking for around there for you.
Yeah. And if I was to travel from Birmingham down to a local, sort of how long would you say the travel would be?
It's about an hour and a half, I would say, from Wales or Bristol.
Cool, thank you.
And Bianca, yes, Brighton's considered regional as well.
And is you work with all schools? Like over here we have the private and public system. How does that translate in the UK?
Yeah, I would say the majority of the schools that we work with are maintained schools by the local authorities, so the private public schools.
Right.
So I would say 90%, probably a bit more, of the schools that we work with are maintained schools by the local authority. And then we've got a small section of private schools that we support as well.
Cool.
So yeah, private being the independent fee paying,
Yes.
Jane.
Cheers, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's such great information to start the discussions and work out what's what.
Just in relation, sorry to interrupt, just in relation to the difference between the public sector and any potential private schools, is there much of a difference in terms of curriculum, content, expectations, and remuneration?
It's a good question. I would say no. I'd say a lot of the independent schools work alongside or in line with the curriculum, particularly in Wales. Remuneration is on a par as well. I'd say you get paid slightly better in your maintained local authority schools than you will in your private schools. And I think there's an increase due in September now that it's going up again. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty much on a par. You know, there's pros and cons with both.
Yeah, just about,
yeah, I mean,
in terms of getting a broader experience.
And definitely you look.
you know,
Sorry.
pedagogical sort of practices and that sort of,
Yeah.
what would be a better,
In your maintained schools, your local authority schools, 100%. You're going to get a different. You're going to have a different range of children that you're working with. Your experience. You're going to have a lot different experiences. You're going to have bigger classrooms. Whether
I don't know if that's a good thing
positive or
for
negative. I mean,
Sure,
for
that's a good
experience
thing,
wise,
what
it's
do
a good
they
thing
call
for your
bigger
experience.
classrooms in comparison
mean,
with Australia?
Well, your classroom's 25 to 30 in your maintained schools in the UK. In your private schools, well, it could be anything. It could be 5 to 20 in your private schools. You know, the advantage of these larger schools is your experience, isn't it? And being able to go back to the Australia managing classrooms of 25 to 30 children. That's the positive.
I already
that
do.
I see.
Yeah, I already have. Yeah. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, has anyone got any last minute questions? Otherwise we'll finish up for the evening.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. Lovely to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thanks for coming,
Thanks
guys.
very much.
All right,
Thank
all
you
the
all.
best. Enjoy your week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.